Hi guys, Alice Taylor down here at Lytham Golf Academy, and today I'm going to be testing the brand new Taylormade Original One mini driver. So what's the idea behind the mini driver? It's been out in the past, but this newer version is trying to incorporate a little bit of the kind of heritage of Taylormade metalwoods, but smaller head, bigger than a 3-wood, for those guys who maybe struggle with the big full-size heads, full-length shaft. So let's have a close-up look at the head, talk about some of the technology in there, then let's hit some shots from the tee, but also a few from the floor, and see if this is something that could be going in your golf bag. So we can see from the sole of the golf club, we've got the Original One mini driver. So we've got a steel sole plate, we can see Pittsburgh Persimmon, which is a reference to their very first metal wood that was released to the market. We've got the speed pocket still in the face for those slightly lower strikes, try to keep the spin off the ball and improve that performance across the face. We've got a 13.5-degree loft, but around the neck we can go up or down 2 degrees, as with most of the metalwoods now with Taylormade. We've still got twist face technology, so those toe and heel strikes to improve that accuracy with your shots. So we've got the lightweight carbon crown, again stripping weight away from the top of the driver, allowing it to be distributed around the outside, improving forgiveness on off-center strikes. Right then guys, so particularly with this mini driver, I think it's interesting because it's obviously not Taylormade's first mini driver, and the idea of Original One, like I said, is very much a reference to their first metalwood. Pittsburgh Persimmon was tiny, it's like the ball was the same size as the club head. But nowadays, with drivers being 460, 455cc, this coming in at 245 is bigger than a 3-wood, but smaller than a driver, which will certainly fit certain golfers' eyes that little bit better. At standard length, the length of the shaft is actually ½ an inch longer than a 3-wood. So for me, rather than kind of mini driver, it's probably a bit more of a beefed up 3-wood. But let's hit some shots from the tee. We're going to use real balls, Titleist Pro V1X, TrackMan on normalized mode, just so my data's the same, video to video now. Let's see how it performs from the tee. But also I think you've got that nice little option with this, that with the smaller, more compact head, possibly that ability to hit it off the floor. But we're going to start off the tee and see how this performs. So I do really like the look of it behind the golf ball, and I think especially for me, I quite like the fact that it's black on the front and then the black carbon crown. I'm not saying that I don't like the silver with kind of M5 and M6, but I really like that. It's a bit more classic looking. Okay, so a good solid one to start. Just turning over a little bit right to left. And carrying 265 is a really good start. Now when I have hit a few more, we'll look at kind of all the numbers. Just when we're hitting the shots, we can see 265, 286 is a great start. I'd probably take that with a full length, full size driver. But we'll look at more in depth in the numbers after I've hit a few. So that one again felt maybe a little bit towards the toe, and we'll look at strikes afterwards. But again, very accurate. 262, 287. So seeing some fantastic consistency so far with this. And it's funny because I feel like I'm very comfortable with full-size driver. I have got a 3-wood in my bag this year. That's the first 3-wood I've really loved. But that, start off with, really good. Definitely getting me kind of driver distance, but with shorter shaft and smaller, more compact head. That one didn't feel quite as good a strike. Just hanging a little bit out to the right. And And we can see quite a drop off in performance there with that little bit off centre strike. Now, interesting for me, there's a lot of technology in this head. Some of it a bit more old school with the steel sole plate, moving that CG kind of down and forward. I'm interested though with a mini driver, there's no injected twist face. So a lot's been made about driver, obviously not in the fairway wood. So this is for me where mini driver kind of is in between driver and fairway wood. Again, felt pretty solid with the strike. And another nice accurate one. Getting out there, good distance, 261 and 282. So let's go one more off the tee, and then let's look a little bit at those numbers and see how the little change in strike perhaps has affected the performance of the shot. Felt a little bit less solid strike, nice and straight again. But it'd be interesting to look at yardage, 248, 262. So if we look at the 5 shots from the tee, relative to what TrackMan says is optimum for me. So we can see the first one there, strike just a little bit low of centre, so we'd expect that to spin up a little bit, but we saw decent ball speed at 155, nice spin at 2.4, and we can see there ball speed slightly back on where I'd like to be with that club. Launch angle a little bit high. Overall hitting it a little high. As we run through the shots, we can see, again, slightly low with the strike. But again, some pretty impressive numbers. Very low spin for a low strike. Again, that's why that's getting out there at potentially further than I should be creating in an ideal world. Interesting there, you can see such a small change in the strike. And yet the spin really jumping up there, and the difference there is a little bit with me delivering the club slightly differently. So we can see slightly below centre again, but decent ball speed, good spin. So if we look at the average strike there, slightly below centre, but for me, loving the fact that even with that slightly low strike, still getting very good ball speed at 152 for an average. Average carry 256 and average total 275. So some really, really good numbers there for me. Right then, so we saw some really impressive numbers from the tee. Certainly the odd one as the strike moved around, we see a drop off in performance, but none of those clubs out there yet are ultimately forgiving in what they can do. Interesting to see off the floor how this works. So smaller, more compact head, but bigger than a 3-wood. Now I know for me with my 3-wood, I'm kind of around just under 250 carry, just under 270 total with good solid ones. So let's see how easy it is to strike, and if we get a strike on it, whether we get good performance. Now certainly behind the ball, looks like I'm going to hit this low on the face, but let's see how it works. Felt really good strike, just staying down the right a little bit on that one. But certainly performance wise, that's big at 255 carry, 280 total. I felt a little bit out the toe, so I'm expecting maybe carry down. 240 but 278 total still, so pretty good. Have to say with me, I'm not always the most confident with kind of 3-woods, and that's what I've loved with my 3-wood this year. I don't think this fills me with confidence setting up over the ball, but first 2 shots have shown it actually works very, very well. That's definitely low off the face, but again, nice and accurate. 236 carry, 258 total. So see clubhead speed 103 with the first one, 153 ball speed, 255 carry, 280 total, launching at just under 12 and 2,500 spin, even though a little bit out to the right, off the floor, really good solid shot. See with the second one still fairly centered with the strike, and the final one a little bit low and off the heel. But generally speaking, they're not too bad with the strike, just moving around on the club face, but saw quite a big change in performance. But average clubhead speed 103, 151 ball speed, 243 carry, 272 total, which for mini driver off the floor would be pretty impressive. Right then guys, so the original one mini driver, pretty impressive off the tee, kind of as I'd expect. Like I said, almost producing driver numbers. Maybe for me personally not something I would go for, because I didn't necessarily see any benefit from the smaller head. I quite like the bigger head being a bit more forgiving. Was very impressed with how it performed off the floor, but again, equally for me, I really love my 3-wood, and I think the more shallow head on my 3-wood makes it easier to hit. But I do think the mini driver has its place. I was very surprised when Taylormade stopped doing the SLDR in mini driver. It did have some great sales, so it definitely had its place in the market, and I think this new club will definitely fit in for certain golfers. As ever though, you need to get along, get fitted, make sure that you've got the loft set up correctly with the right shaft to get you the best performance possible. Do I see loads of guys using it off the floor? Maybe not. Maybe parkland courses where the grass is a bit more lush and the lies are a bit better. Possibly, but it's definitely going to be something that I think you guys that struggle with the big headed drivers, long shafted drivers, it's going to be a good option for you. But like I said, you need to get along, get fitted. So guys, hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, like and share it. Comment below. I'll get back to as many people as I can. If you've enjoyed the video, hit the subscribe button, ring the notification bell, make sure you get my videos as soon as they land. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, both under Ali Taylor Golf. Hopefully catch up with some of you guys down here in the future. Stay in contact.